God damn. All right, man. Okay. All right.
I surely got an appointment on Thursday at 10:30. I was going to switch with my morning.
All right. All right. All right, man. Hmm. I mean, that should have been kind of obvious, but I don't understand why.
Rescheduled it for July 10th, but now it's at 8 in the morning. That's the Thursday before we go out of town. I would just put in a PTO day for that day because I got enough time in advance to get my flex to work it. So I
Okay.
didn't have to worry about it and I could still get paid.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm do that. I'll just text them now, let them know, never mind. I'll just work my regular schedule this week.
Yeah, just don't have insurance. Mm, mm. Man, this shit just been on block so long. Mm, mm. Why does it jump like that? Why does it jump like that? Mm. Yeah, I should have figured out. Mm. When it seems to work when I use it for whatever reason. When it seems to freaking use it when I use it. It works when I use it. Real time. Only in back testing. Yeah. All right. Okay. So. All right. So that's the 15-minute range right there. That's the 15-minute range right there. So we'll see what happens. Mm. Mm. I would have to ask why. Mm. Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised. I wouldn't even be surprised. I don't know. Hey, yo, what's up, Cave Trader? What's up? I mean, that's usually where it's going to. Sometimes I amaze myself. Mm. 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 Huh. Okay. So it seems like everybody is gonna. Dang. Yes. I mean, gold is doing her thing as per usual, but she's not necessarily giving any entries on gold. But that was a beautiful short last night. I know RG was happy with his profits. And I was right about this last night too. I just had a feeling that this was not going to hold. It did run the liquidity underneath this range, but then it popped back, used this area as support, and then went. I just had a feeling that gold was going to do something like this last night. Just had a feeling she was going to do that. Okay. All right. So I'm in the all right. So this is, I guess, the orb breakout. What I did was basically attached my limit to the 21 EMA. So technically this is the range breakout. I did miss it. So technically, I mean, I would have been in this, and then it pulls back to the it actually pulls back to the it does this nasty candle, and then it pulls back to the 21 EMA, and then it pushes higher. Hmm. $93. Hmm. Okay. Wow. Well, uh, wow. 54 points on that orb so far. Huh. 54 points on that orb. Yeah, it definitely did, man. Yeah. And I didn't get the best entry. And got 54 points. I guess waiting for that pullback to the 21 EMA. If he got that, if he waited for that pullback, that was almost 100 point. That was, dude, that was like literally almost 100 points right there, man, from that orb. Damn. Yep, I definitely did, Cave Trader. So this all it takes, huh? This is how you make money on the NQ now? Just waiting 15 minutes after the open, trading that orb. Shit, we literally had a perfect entry. We literally have a perfect entry. Huh. Huh. So you're saying that I should open up 5 Top Step accounts, copy trade all of them, and just trade the orb on the Nasdaq? Be profitable? Is that all it takes? So all that years of sweat, blood, and tears and crying on the treadmill was for naught? All I had to do was trade the orb? That's it? That's what you're telling me? God, man. Mm. And dude, where do I even take profits at on this thing? Alfred, you said you have a 22K TP, so you're waiting all the way for 22K, huh? Hmm. Why 22K? I mean, I understand that that's probably like a psychological level, but what makes you think that it's going to go straight to 22K? Or it's just like a round number? Mm. Oh shit. Let's all get the 22K together then. Ugh. Yeah, I don't think so. It'll probably like pull back and chop around. I probably should have taken this trade on my funded account. There we go, baby. We just got filled on gold. Hit maximum daily profit on gold. Maximum daily. Oh, maximum daily profit on gold. Took that short on gold. Hmm. I should have took that on my funded account, but I wasn't sure. Saw an opportunity, so I just took it. Hmm. Shit, gold can probably get all the way back down to 33.74 before a bounce potentially. Damn. Well, Alfred, I guess she shut us up. She ain't going straight there, huh? Bet. She's not going straight there, huh? Bet. We going straight there. We going straight there, apparently. She said, we going straight there. All right, guys. I mean, we'll track this. Once we get our target filled on this one, we'll document it. She did the same thing. But she kind of she kind of did and didn't, if that makes sense. Before she kind of had this little flash crash thing a minute before the 15-minute orb. She did kind of break out. Actually, she did. Okay, I'll take that back. She did. She broke out. She pulled back to the 21 EMA, and from the 21 EMA, almost 100 points so far. So far, 100 points. Just waiting 15 minutes after the open. Wow. Wow. Ah, it's that simple, huh? All right, man. We'll document it. We'll document it. Damn, it's like that, huh? Shout out to our boy Alfred for bringing that to our attention, because he didn't have to. He certainly did. There we go. All right, so today is the 23rd. All right, let's see. So the 23rd. All right. So the break happened. So again, the break happened at. So how do we want to? Because we're just started it. So, do we want to start the break after the pullback? So, do we want to document the initial break, or do we want to document the break after the pullback? Actually, let's just do both. Initial break and after the pullback, maybe initial break. So that's going to be the initial break after the pullback break, probably. Initial break. So we know what time, so we can document what time it initially breaks. So it initially broke at right at 45. So 45:08. So 8:45:08. 8:45:08. And after the pullback, the break happened at 8:47:19. So we can kind of document and keep track of both. I'm probably not going to do this for these, but just moving forward, I'm going to just do it like that. Damn, look. All right, so and then we'll just we'll complete this. This can be something that we actually do at the end. So how this is going to be structured. So initially we will document the initial time, the pullback break, if there is a pullback break. If there's not, we're just going to zero this out. Did it break high or low? It broke high. Okay, I don't like that. Okay, so I guess I do have it like that. All right, so it broke high. Initial. All right, so obviously the initial reaction was a false breakout. Initial reaction, false breakout. False break, drawdown. How many points of drawdown? What were we in? So at the high of that candle, it was 20, like 89. And that pullback, so 860, so 860. So 29-point drawback, 29 points, a drawdown if you took the initial break. The results, we'll probably wait for the results. We'll wait for the full move afterwards. So this side of the, so these three will be after the session. And what we can do right now, and then, yeah, this will be after the session. So these 4 columns will be after the session. So right now I can just kind of put, so after breaking above the opening range high, or breaking above the upper, the MNQ pulled back. Just keep this uniformed. So it's saying the same thing, so we're not thinking too much. Okay. Pull back 29 points. Yeah, pull back 29 points. After rejecting the 21 EMA, after bouncing off the 21 EMA, price traded, and we'll just fill in the rest of this afterwards. But honestly, that's probably should be, I should probably do this during the evening stream once everything is said and done, so I can just fully document it all at one time. So moving forward, we'll document the initial break. We'll document the pullback break if there is one. So this is the initial break. It pulls back, and then once it breaks again, we'll document when it breaks. We're going to document if it breaks high, the initial reaction, the drawdown, and then obviously we're going to have the results during the evening stream. So that's how we're going to rock with it. That's how we're rocking with it. And I think that's this data will be very beneficial. We can just look at it and extract the value that we need immediately. So I don't know what that's all about. Did I move this or something? Okay. All right. So my bad. So it needs to break up, then move down to enter. Like the way you don't get sucked in on a bad trade. Yeah. You just look for. Okay. All right, Cave Trader. You know what? Alfred, I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by the 995 rejection. I'm not surprised by that. This is something that the Nasdaq loves doing. That first attempt is always a trap. It's always a trap. Always. Let's see what they did with that gap last night. So we did get initial we did get an initial rejection after it tried filling that gap, and then it came back and filled that gap. You're never going to get that gap fill on that first attempt. It just never does it, or it is highly likely to not do it. That first attempt is always a trap. Get the bulls or bears excited thinking that we're going to get a full gap fill just to reject. This was only a 785. So this was only like an 80-point rejection from that first attempt, and then they came back and filled that gap and even took out Friday's highs, or not that high, but that range high right here. They took that out. They came back, then they. That is interesting. Hmm. Hell no. Hmm. All right, so let's see if we can get that target filled though. Actually, you know what what I can start doing? I can actually start that's the template. I can actually start a new file and start documenting the orb tracker, orbiter. All right. All right. So what it is today? June 23rd. Take a screenshot of this real quick. Oh shit. Target filled, baby. Let's go. Target filled. Take a screenshot of this. This is definitely one for the books. We're gonna call this one a win. This is on the Nasdaq. We got all our targets filled. Okay, so far, um, okay, so we got the screenshot. So what can I do with this one? So I guess what I don't have to really, so I can just so after breaking. And what was my entry on this damn thing? I forgot. I forgot what my entry was. Ugh. All right, so we entered. Okay. So let me take this. All right. So after breaking above the opening range high, price pulled back and bounced off the 21 EMA. We entered with 27 MNQ contracts at 902 and took full profits at 22K. I think that's short, concise, and it gets to the point. We took a screenshot. So I guess tomorrow what I'm going to do is probably make a ATM strategy for this. I used an ES strategy that had trailing stops, and that's why my targets were getting filled. But I will make an ATM strategy for this. Oof. But today, that was a great thing. So, all right. So we'll just keep documenting this. All right. So June 23rd, and so tomorrow, what we'll do is okay, and then we'll just do it again. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good, man. I think this documentation is really going to. I think this documentation with this style is really going to help us, especially with these screenshots. What these screenshots will kind of do for us is going to allow us to come back. We're going to look at the charts. We're going to see what happened when we're more in a mindful state. And if we consistently do this over time and we make this into a habit, we'll begin to see the patterns because our minds are literally designed to pick up on patterns. And if we consistently do this, then there'll be a point to where we won't really need to document, but we'll document anyway. But yeah, I think that's a good first day. We'll continue doing that. You said I'll be helpful. Yep. Yeah. The red moving average. Yeah, you're talking about this medium term, the 50 EMA right here. Yep, the 50 EMA. And the market does like that 50 EMA. I do believe that the EMAs that I have on the screen, the 21, 50, 200, and VWAP, the market does seem to, no matter what time frame you're on, it does seem to react at these at these EMAs, whether it be for it as a target where the market bounces, rejects, traps, especially traps at that VWAP. The market likes to play a lot of games at VWAP. All right, so let's look at the ES actually. Let's see what happened at the ES to see if she's even being a senior citizen. Look at that. All right, so the ES did the same thing, but the thing about I guess trading the opening range on the ES is much smoother. You're not seeing the pullbacks. You're just seeing the breaks and the continuation. So right now, if you took that orb on the ES, you was up about 20 points. You was up about 20 points, and shit, that's on a 10 lot, that's actually pretty good. 10, 15 lot. Hey Yamo, is this hold on, is this somebody different? Is that Did you change your name from Young Millionaire, or is this somebody new? But so took the short from the open, left one micro runner that went 100 points. Am I trying to add to? Okay, you changed it. Okay, all right, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna call you 500 trades then. All right, trades 500. YAML trades 500. Trades 500. And so trades 500 from the opening. Yeah, man. Yeah. Damn. Hey, what's up, Santiago? What's up, man? Well, we're doing the orb strategy now on the Nasdaq. So today was definitely a winner. But you said that you went short on the Nasdaq. So I'm making the assumption that you took this short right here after it swept the value area from Friday. We could see 2250, Alfred. It would be crazy. So yeah, the market definitely has to get above 2250 because that was that range break from Friday. That was that order from Friday. And man, if you caught this whole entire move down on a 10 lot with Nasdaq and then held it, like, dude, let's do the math on this because this is crazy. This is crazy. So this range breakout was absolutely crazy. So 2245 minus 562. So that's 483 points, right? On one contract, that would have been $9,600. On a 10 lot, man, someone made $100K from top to bottom. $96,000 right here from Friday's range breakout. Crazy. If they had a 10 lot, and that's just a 10 lot. Crazy. What made you change it though? Actually, I'm actually going to start doing the orb for both the Nasdaq and the ES. What I'll do with the ES, I'm not going to document it. Well, actually, I should. I don't even know why I'm even saying that shit. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? I mean, it doesn't even make sense to not do it. To not do it the correct way. Okay. at the time of the screenshot so I can be as accurate as possible at the time of the screenshot. Yeah, so with this, what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna be so when I take the screenshot, and I'm probably going to yeah, yeah. Actually, the high of that candle was 37. The low of this candle was 33. Oh, so it actually consolidated in a 4-point range. That's interesting. So it consolidated in a 4-point range. Doesn't look like it, but that's what it did. Consolidated in a 4-point range and continued to trade 23 points to the upside at the time of the screenshot. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, cool. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Hmm. And did you take that trade on NQ or ES Investors E? So trades 500. It can definitely be discouraging. It definitely can be. What I will say is this market will definitely humble you. And what I mean by that is, man, I hate to say it because it sounds so blasphemous, but we kind of have to trade what we see on the chart and not what we have in our hearts, because our hearts, our hearts doesn't even have eyes. So our hearts are going to make you feel that, man, this thing can do this and it's going to do that and blah, 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 blah. But our heart is usually wrong when it comes to these charts. And it's tough. It's definitely tough because we're going against our feelings, we're going against our emotions. And if our emotions are strong enough, it's going to override logic and it's going to purposely blind us from what's actually happening. Uh, Obviously, this is hindsight, but when we look at the market structure, you can see that the market was making higher lows. And or when we see higher lows, the first thing that we should see or that we should think about is this right here. And once you see and once you draw that trend line at these lows, then you know that shorts are off the table until the bears prove it. And they have to prove it by breaking that trend line. Now, before this move happened, you had a trend line right here. You have this, that, and that. And this is the biggest thing that I had to get over myself too. So I know exactly where you're coming from. When it comes to chart geometry, the market respects it. It respects triangles, circles, and squares. We have to trade around them. If you don't, then it's a great way to become liquidity. It'll turn a winning trade into a loser, and you'll start to chase it. And unfortunately, the market is facilitated by your emotions. The market use your emotions to facilitate trade. So you just kind of have to be mindful about what's actually happening. Yeah. MNQ, yeah. You know what, Cave Trader? Yeah, the ES is definitely slow, man. It definitely is. It definitely is slow. But the one benefit of the ES is that you have all the tools in the world. Look at this DOM. Look at this DOM. You know where the liquidity's at on ES. You can literally you can comfortably get in with a 10 lot, 15, 20 lot on ES and be comfortable. You know where you need to get in at. On the Nasdaq, I mean, yeah, it's kind of, if you can kind of get into a good area, you're good. But with all that craziness with the pullbacks and the randomness of the Nasdaq at times, I think what makes the Nasdaq challenging for me, and it's just me, is that I have to be patient and deal with FOMO at the same time. That's what makes trading the Nasdaq somewhat challenging at times for me. If I have to trade the Nasdaq the same way I have to trade gold or ES, then in my mind, logically, it's, well, I don't need to trade the Nasdaq. Why would I trade the Nasdaq if it's not going to be a quote unquote sure thing when I can trade gold or ES, trade with size, make the same amount, if not more, being patient on those instruments than on Nasdaq. Now, I'm not saying that the Nasdaq, we all know that you can make more money on the Nasdaq than on gold and ES. We know that. But man, that's a double-edged sword, man. You don't know where, well, for me, it's where do I even put my stop? Usually my stop is 27 points. It's grown to 54. Man. Mm. If I look for my model on the Nasdaq, I mean, she doesn't really give the opportunity, because this would have been the pullback, but then I would have to ask myself, man, I mean, it would have worked, but man, all that momentum to the downside, shit, I don't know, man. Would have I, well, am I saying that right? I do not know if I would have been comfortable taking that one long after all this bearish momentum to the downside. But then I also know not to take it short, because I mean, that's basically shorting the lows. But it did pull back into this range. Did pull back into the range though. Mm. Yeah, this is tough, man. It's tough. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I mean, right now the market is consolidating on both the Nasdaq and the ES. And let's look what our baby gold is doing. Uh, uh, Sometimes the way that gold trades, it's like, well, mm, That's tough. This one's tough. This one is definitely tough because I do see a trend. Do see a trend right there. So we got a support trend line coming up on gold. We have this rejection right here from earlier in the session, and I should have taken this in my funded account, but I figured that I wasn't sure. I didn't write in my journal about it, uh, so I didn't take the trade. I didn't take it. So I'm glad that I followed my rules. So actually, let me reframe that. I think this is a good time for me to reframe that. I'm glad that I followed my rules. Even though the trade would have worked out, I did take the trade in a off stream account. I'm glad that I followed my rule. So that's a win for today. That's a win. We made $4,200 last night in the stream account. So I'm just going to let that lock in because we all know with Apex, you make $4,500 and you lose that. That's half the account right there. So we're just going to let that, we're just going to let it lock in for today. And the crazy thing is if I kept that long on ES, so I was in at the bottom. I was in like down here somewhere because if you guys recall, the limits that I had set from Friday, I guess Apex left it on or they didn't cancel it. Whatever. I mean, it's not. Anyway, I had it sitting down here. I think I took a couple of points in drawdown, maybe 10, or actually, I really don't know how much points I took in drawdown. Actually, let me see where I even got in at. Anyway, the point is that when I came back to my screen, I was up $4,200. But if I let that thing ride, man, I probably would have passed this account. I probably would have been up 20K. But I did the right thing. Because if I didn't, this probably would have blew the account right here. Yeah, this pullback right here would have blown the account. Yeah, because that was a 39 point pullback. So yeah, actually that was a good thing. Because I wasn't going to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get out at the highs. So I would have been up probably like 15, 20K, came back and saw that I blew the account just for it to continue to go upward. So, okay. Mm. All right. Yeah, that's just going to be the strategy moving forward. All right. So, what gold needs to do, what the bears need to do to be successful, which honestly, I just don't see it happening right now on gold. We have range. We have a support trend line going to the upside. And we have the 21, the 50, and the 200 EMA. And then on top of that, we also got this fair value gap aligning up with R2. So the bears definitely have a lot of structure of the breakthrough. So if you're going to take a short now, and I honestly I wouldn't recommend it because it does look like the market kind of wants to take out this high right here on gold. Actually, let me make sure you guys can see that. It does look like the market wants to kind of take out that high right here. So we know that the bears have to break the trend line. They have to hold the pullback, and this will be the short right there where they can use these triangle stops as fuel for the move lower. Kind of like what happened last night with the short with RG right here. Same situation where we have a big move down. The bulls, the buyers failing. And let me do this real quick. Nice. The buyers failing. But this time, they got it to go through on the first try. And Investor Z, that's exactly why sometimes it's like, man, I get why you just say fuck it and just put the well, you just go in on it because you just don't know when if it's going to do it the first time or if it's going to break, pull back, and then do it. I guess in hindsight, and this is hindsight, if you look at the structure, there was really nothing for price to bounce on. There was really no range or anything. It was just the market using the stops underneath this trend line as fuel to push this thing right back lower. Yeah. Yeah, it's too much. It's like yeah, especially when you're dealing with you're seeing your P&L jump. It can be too much. Just say fuck it and just say, yeah, I'll just take the hit if I take it. Hmm. Santiago says NQ swept liquidity and he hasn't he went short. Hmm. Yeah, and this is why I choose not to trade the NQ. It's just too much. Just too much. Where are you targeting, Santiago? I mean, technically, wouldn't that be it right there? I mean, technically, because it didn't necessarily. Yeah, no, that's not it. Or maybe it is. Who knows? Just too random, honestly. It's too random for me. Yeah, I think so. We got a strong move to the upside here. We got a strong move to the upside, so we all know what that means. There's definitely going to be buyers on that pullback. There's definitely going to be buyers on that. Oh shit, look at that. That was perfect too. Man, that was perfect. Yeah, we could see. I mean, now that I'm kind of looking at the higher time frame chart on the Nasdaq, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a pullback to the opening range breakout. It would kind of make sense to get a pullback, at least to the opening range breakout, because of all the people that missed it. And I'm thinking they'll probably have their limits sitting somewhere in this area. I'm not saying that it would work. And what I'm saying is that it's highly likely that there'll be some limits in this area because of the opening range. This is actually the first time that I've actually seen the Nasdaq with liquidity like this. We usually don't see this. So it's very interesting to see this, honestly. 885. Yeah, actually there's no liquidity, so I mean it's looking like it's trying to say about like 960. I wouldn't buy no 960. That's crazy. Maybe 945 around R2. We could see a potential small bounce, but I don't know, that's too short for the Nasdaq for a bounce. You got this big, you had the market trending, jumping off the 21. Now you got price below the 50 and the 21. You got them both sloping to the downside now. I think your short would be good as long as we don't see a green dildo candle going up right here. As long as we don't see a green candle closing right back above that 20 EMA and continuing higher, I think your short is good. But the bears are going to have to reject it right here. They would have to. Yeah. Let's actually look at the volume actually. All right. So on MNQ, this is kind of a light day for the Nasdaq. It makes sense. We had a short week last week, and we got to remember that futures is normally used for hedging when these big players are buying stocks. That's how these big players use futures. Not saying that they don't buy futures independently, because a lot of commercials do buy futures independently. But when the stock market is closed, you're usually not going to see a lot of liquidity in the market, as we did saw on Thursday. We had FOMC on that Wednesday, half day on that Thursday, Friday. Shit, the market just kind of went crazy. And now I think, and then over the weekend, the Trump administration bombed 3 Iranian nuclear bases. And so the market doesn't necessarily know how to feel about that. So I guess what these money managers are waiting for right now is maybe more information. I think that's what we're waiting on right now. And that's why we're not seeing full positions, millions of contracts being traded. That would be my assumption. Because wow, okay. Seriously. Yeah, because the data is definitely not showing it. Or we're seeing it in the volume that there's not a lot of contracts being traded. Gold, on the other hand, yeah, that's decent volume. That's regular volume for gold. But for ES and Nasdaq, yeah, that's kind of light. So yeah, it looks like your short is working out. It looks like they was able to hold that 21 and 50 rejection. So we'll see what happens at 9:45. Because isn't that a pre-market high? Yeah, it's pre-market high right here. London highs. So we'll see if the market's going to react to it. That's why we allow the chart geometry to guide us in our trade. We know, or at least we should know if you've been with me long enough, this chart geometry is solid. We did not get a break from this trend line. We got all this, the EMAs sloping to the upside. There's no reason to take a short on gold here. There is no reason to take a short on gold at all. Oof. And shit, even if this does break the trend line, I do expect for the bulls to come and step up at this range at R3 at this 200 EMA. At this range right here at R3 at the 200 EMA, and we got a little fair value gap right there, right underneath that trend. So that's highly unlikely for a successful short. So in this situation, yeah, we definitely need to see a break, a pullback, and the bears holding that pullback so they can use these stops underneath this trend line to fuel the move down lower. We definitely would need to see that. And you're still talking about the 50 level. Yeah, yeah, I started using that the fibs uh for my entries as well. I like to use the closest fib to structure, especially on gold. On the ES is kind of well, I mean, you could use fibs on ES, but I mean, the ES is basically straightforward. You trade the edges on ES anyway, so you don't necessarily need fibs on ES. Just you trade the edges like you're supposed to. But the fibs work. I'm not saying they don't. But you really, what I'm saying is that necessarily you don't need it because ES is kind of, it trades perfectly in terms of it will reject at highs, it will reject at lows, and will consolidate in the middle. If you wait for the breakout and you trade the pullback, I mean, it's kind of hard to be, it's kind of hard not to be successful trading the ES. We're not going to talk about the craziness of the Nasdaq. But with gold, gold is very touchy about its levels, so I just trade the closest fib to structure and just use a 4-point stop. If and that usually saves me because sometimes gold will just, it will miss me by a tick because I'm trading at a range or something, and it'll miss by a tick and then reverse. And then sometimes it'll just go through the level to sweep the liquidity, and then it will go in your intended direction. So, and just to keep things simple, I just use the closest fib to structure. The market maker strategy. So, are you looking at a specific fib level for your entries? Are you still talking? So, for the market maker model that you're talking about, is that still using the 50 that you like using, or is that like a different fib level that you use for that strategy? If you don't mind sharing. And this would kind of be a great example of just like the closest fib to structure right here. Like if I see that, oh, it's double topping right here, then I'll probably just go short at this fib. I just as an example, kind of like right here, closest fib to structure. Simple. Keep this shit simple. Oh, you use a different one? Hmm. Okay. Well, so it consolidates every quarter move. Oh, you invented your own levels? Okay. Hey man, as long as it works, man, that's all that matters. That's all that matters, man. As long as it works. I will say that that was the toughest thing for me, or it is the toughest thing for me. I mean, I talk about this a lot. When you find a strategy that invalidates all your work, or when I find a strategy that invalidates all my work, man, it's kind of hard to accept, as crazy as that sounds, because it would mean that I went through all that pain for nothing. And you know, with us humans, you understand that we go through pain, but we'll willingly go through pain if it's for a purpose. But then if we later find out that we went through that pain for no reason, man, that's a punch in the gut. That definitely is a punch in the gut. All this time, all I had to do was this, and I would have got what I wanted. I became a martyr for no reason. A martyr in their own mind. Hmm. Yeah. Congratulations on that, Santiago. So it did. So I guess it did. Well, it got to 49 and bounced. I know everybody that was sitting at R2 or 45, they're punching the air right now, looking at this thing reverse. And that's what's tough, because that was a clean 45 points to the upside, man. That was a clean 45 points after it missed everybody that's sitting at R2, everybody that's sitting at London highs right now. This London high is at 944. So yeah, there was probably a bunch of people at 45 or R2. And the Nasdaq straight missed it. And this is like, and this is why I just like, outside of structure, I'm not going to trade the Nasdaq, because stuff like this, you start to chase. And if I had my entry at 45 and I saw that it missed me by a couple of points, and then we got a clean 45, 50 points to the upside. Yeah, if you're going to trade the Nasdaq, just trade it as if you're trading the ES, because, man, this thing can get real dangerous. So the ES tapped the previous swing high, then went back up. Oh yeah, it tapped that fair value gap too. So ES actually went back to R2 like it was supposed to, and then that's when it made that small move up. Actually, let me see how much points that is. So yeah, 8 points. That's respectable on the ES, and it's still going up. We should expect at least for ES to continue to the swing high. At least it's highly likely that's where it's going to. At least that swing high, maybe 50, 10 points to the upside. That's respectable. Honestly, on three mini contracts, that's 1,500, or that's about what, $400, $1,200 on three minis. That's respectable with a small little stop. And that's the beauty about trading the ES. You don't necessarily need too much risk. You was in 2 points in drawdown on this. If you had a 5 point stop, the risk to reward on the ES is beautiful, and then you can trade size. It's beautiful, man. It really is. It's just that you're just not going to make as much money as you would on the Nasdaq, I guess. But what do you mean by that? It said it hit your 50 on the NQ and 25. Oh, okay. All right. That's what broke. Okay. Yeah, and yeah, that's absolutely true. Investor Z, that's absolutely true. And we're definitely going to track that this entire week. If you can get a consistent strategy on that orb, man, shit, hey, we can do it every day. And then we can all get on and we can all get a top step or whatever interview. Keep running them up. And that orb strategy, what makes it so powerful, just like Investor Z said, is that you know what time that you'd actually need to be in front of your chart around 8:30 to 8:45. That first 30 minutes of the day, that's when you need to be in front of your chart. You can lock your account until then so you don't get tempted by Asia. If you're trading the Nasdaq or ES gold, you kind of need to trade Asia on gold if you want clean moves, because a lot of the moves happen overnight during that time frame. Ugh. Mhm. You said it hit demand on NQ. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Santiago, this could. Well, we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens. If the Bulls can kind of quote unquote hold this small little pullback, we could see a continuation. But this does look like it's trying to reverse. We do got price trending. It came back to the EMA. The Bulls failed to push it higher, and they failed to hold the pullback. So we did sweep the liquidity underneath this range, but we're now back inside the range. And let me draw the range for those that don't, so that you know what I'm talking about. All right. So the Bulls failed to hold the pullback at that range. They swept the liquidity underneath that range. And now they're trying to make a second attempt for a breakout. So if they can hold this, if the Bulls can hold this, we can see a bullish continuation here. But if not, then the shorts will work. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm. That's one. Blah, blah. That's exactly the pattern that I saw as well. Potential head and shoulders pattern right here. Mhm. So we know what to do. We know the way for that pullback. You know what I actually thought about? Huh, that's interesting. Huh. That's interesting. Huh. That's interesting. Hmm. 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 Yeah, we can do the second half. Yeah, I'll do it that way. The initial break time, the pullback. Hmm. Yep, look at that. The ES is very predictable. A lot of people took their profits right there at 51 at that swing high right there. At that swing high. From the bottom to top, a respectable 10 points. Actually, this kind of looks like a two-legged pullback into support here on the ES. That's what that kind of looks like. It looks like a two-legged pullback into a previous area of support. So we could potentially see price actually come back and try to retest that high right there potentially, or somewhere close on the here on the ES potentially. Yeah, I wouldn't even take a trade. So I fought the 21 EMA so much that at this point now it's like, you know what, man? If I don't see the 21 EMA, if I don't see price underneath the 21 EMA, I don't even take the trade. Depending on where I'm at on the chart. If price is in a range, I'm not even taking the short until I see a break below it. That 21 EMA is too strong. Yeah, it does. That 21 EMA is very powerful. That's why I always advocate for at least if you're going to have an EMA on your chart, at least the 21 EMA. It's more powerful with the 50, 200, and VWAP, in my opinion. But if you're just going to only have one, then that 21 EMA is the only EMA that you should have. If I had to choose, it would be the 21. I threw away the 9 EMA for the 21 EMA. But I think the 9 EMA works better on stocks than futures, in my opinion. I'm not saying it don't work. I'm pretty sure someone has a 9 EMA strategy for futures, but when it came to stocks, the 9 EMA it seemed to be a better fit for me. Mm. Yeah, that's probably the best option too. That's not it. I was like, when did she do that? Hmm. Anyway. Hmm. And gold is still using that trend line, huh? All right. So it looks like this trend line may be important. So I'm actually going to. All right. So. All right. So we'll see. What we're waiting on is to see if the bulls are going to hold this trend line. I think they do. We have no question that this trend line is the trend line that the market is using. We had price pull back beautifully at this trend line, and we're now seeing a continuation from it. So there is no question that this is the trend line that the market is currently using at the moment. No question. Yeah. At this point, it seems like all the markets are correlated at this point. We have gold, ES, and the Nasdaq all trending right now after having a gap open and a recovery. So both the ES and Nasdaq both had a gap down and they fully recovered and they're now trending. Gold had a gap up. Gold had a gap up. It came back down, filled that gap, and then is now trending up higher as well. So, uh, right now all the markets are correlated, but I mean that can obviously change. You said trading has humbled you. Yeah, Santiago, I can definitely say the same. What gets me in trouble the most is that I tell myself that internal voice tells me that I need to be making money every day. I mean, that is true. There's a setup every day. There's a setup every day, B. There's a setup every day. So it's true. And I think that internal voice, the reason why we kind of listen to that internal voice is because we know it's true. He says there are moments Just yourselves and Sean. Yeah. You say you're in long right now? All right. So Santiago says that he's in long. Hmm. Huh. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If they can hold the bottom of this range, then your long should be good. But I will say, yeah, I'm pretty sure you got your risk set up correctly. But that looks, I don't know. We'll see. It looks more of a short to me. But we'll see if the Bulls can hold this. But I mean, that's the crazy thing about the Nasdaq, though. She's really good at making the charts look a certain way, and then getting people trapped in, and then going the opposite direction. Mm. Shit, the ES might be trying to pull back to that trend line. The ES may be trying to pull back to that trend line right there. And we know that trend line is drawn correctly. So, okay. Yeah, it kind of looked like a short to me. Uh, yeah, once because we kind of have to remember that once the Bulls fail at the top of a range and price gets sucked back into the range, then it's highly likely that it's going to break below it as well. The Bulls is very, how do I say that? So usually that sweet spot is once we see that range, this is supposed to technically be support. So price closing back within this range would mean that in this case that the buyers failed, and that's why we saw that liquidity sweep to the downside. They came right back in and then they failed to hold it again. So they failed to hold that pullback again, and now we're seeing that move lower. But I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see if I'm pretty sure we'll get a sweep right here. I'm pretty sure, but we'll see. This is the Nasdaq, so it's not necessarily the ES. The ES picks and chooses when she wants to follow the rules. We do have this pivot right here. I believe that's London's high, and then we also got the 200 EMA right there. And this is where I was initially waiting to enter in the market before it did this crap right here. So, does the bulls step up here or don't they? And honestly, because we saw the market already make the move that I was looking for, this trade becomes it no longer fits my trade policy. My confidence level would be under 50%. It wouldn't even be a 50% trade here. It would probably be like a 40-30% trade that this works based on the structure. Overall, we're still bullish, but right now we're making lower lows and we're making lower highs. So technically, we kind of have this channel going down right now. Technically. But this is the Nasdaq. She don't necessarily have to follow those rules. She does break them. We all know that. We all know that. So technically the Nasdaq is doing something like that. So yeah, we I guess we could. I mean, 45 is technically at the bottom of this channel. So, maybe this could be like maybe a 50-50 trade right here. I still won't even take it though. But this could be a 50-50 trade. We have the pivot point, we have the 200 EMA, we have the trend line low all lining up right here. So we'll see what happens. All right, there we go. We'll see. So I wonder if this is going to either be a bear trap right here or if we're going to see a okay, there we go. That answers our question. Look at that trap. Okay. All right, there we go. Bear trap. We'll see if the bulls can pull back. And this is why, man, the Nasdaq can be very nasty at times. This is not necessarily that big of a drawdown here. So I mean, if you got in at R2, I mean, it's not that big. It's not that big of a drawdown. But if you was a bear and you added at this channel break, that is nasty, man. That is nasty. So what is that? 46, 45 entry. It pulled back. So what is that? So 45. So about a 14 points in drawdown. Mm. Nah, that was it right there. Okay. Well, I had a feeling that people was going to be sitting here. It did look like that they were initially was about to be used as liquidity, but we did get price to trade right back into this channel. So the only destination now is to go back to the top of this channel right now. And if we can see the bulls break out and hold that pullback and see a continuation, well, then the bulls, we know that the bulls are in control. Overall, the market is bullish, at least for today. Overall, it is bullish. We're making higher lows and we're making higher highs overall. But this leg does seem like it's starting to roll over. So we'll see what happens. I'm out of time for this session. We'll definitely. I'm definitely going to pay attention to how the market reacts at this opening range. I don't think it's a coincidence that we have last week's close, VWAP, and the value area low literally at the opening range high. So we'll see if we get this breakout from this channel or if we see price just chops until it gets to this area, and we'll look at the reaction and we'll document this later on in tonight's stream. So with that said, we'll definitely come back tonight and we'll look for more opportunities to earn some more money. And with that said, peace out, everybody.